Hello, Jesse.
Hello, Bo. Hello, Becky. Hello, hello, hello.
No, we're on Zoom. We're on Zoom. Don't do it.
You're in the car.
Don't do it. After.
We're recording.
Hush.
Okay.
I'll go on record.
Okay, here you are.
Like I said, I told you I'm gonna be the only sober one here besides Jesse.
It's okay.
Hey, I can have fun too.
Oh, I was wondering if Zoom could hear just the room volume, or if it was only when you were in the mic. That answers that question.
So Jesse, you're running the meeting. You have control, the host. You're the hostesses. Yes,
Ah,
it said, that's what it told me. Computers don't lie.
Jesse, can you see my screen share?
I can see your screen share, but I can't manipulate it.
Okay, let me make it so that multiple participants can screen share. So that's okay. We could just scroll around here as needed.
I can scroll. I'm sitting at the computer right now.
Okay. All right.
And Jay walked in and we're waiting for Dawn. I haven't heard from Phil.
We did get an email from Phil saying that he was most likely going to be able to not attend. However, I can't talk today.
Yeah,
Probably not going to be here.
I agree.
You want me to turn on the microphones?
So you and Dawn will be sitting over there.
Yeah.
I was trying to raise the volume on this. Oh, there it is.
Let's check.
Yes, Dawn gets a check. Hey, Jesse, say something.
Something, something, something.
Perfect, thank you. I had to turn you up. I didn't know which way was up.
I am queued up. Can you hear me? Yeah, thanks for that. I'll
Did you hear Jay?
He was a bit muffled for me.
Can you hear me?
Oh, now I can.
Okay. I didn't know whether it was a green light or a blue light to,
Gotta be a blue.
yeah,
Yeah, that's
Madame
really
Toussaint's House of Blue Light. If you remember that reference, well,
well, I don't.
okay, that's probably a good thing. I'll send it to you by email later today.
Jay, I was country when country wasn't cool, and still am.
Sorry, I didn't hear.
You guys are talking two different worlds here, but that's okay.
Uh-huh.
Uh-huh. So Don should be walking in pretty soon. but
Yeah,
I haven't-
Don was going to his home to pick up his notebook,
Okay,
and that was one of the key things for him. So
Well, let's give him a minute.
Yeah.
So I am in
discovered a
Lubbock,
good,
Texas.
just
Mhm.
Jesse, just so you know, we were delayed by because we finished a long hike down the Ute Indian Trail. And it is really, really wonderful when we get around to when the Ring the Peak Trail is eventually married to that. That would be an absolutely awesome experience.
Excellent. You'll have to show me sometime. So I'm calling in from Lubbock, Texas today.
Well, welcome from Texas.
Thank you.
Are you, is this the end of your cattle drive?
No. The festival was last weekend. It was great. We had about 7,500 people. The whole day went exactly as planned and it was really enjoyable. Perfect weather. Finished up meetings with my daytime job yesterday and then, my niece unexpectedly went into labor. So I thought, I'm just gonna go to Lubbock and be with the fam.
Nice. So when are you heading back to the mountains?
I'm gonna leave here at 7 o'clock in the morning.
Uh, good, because we're supposed to get snow this weekend.
I know, I want to be ready for Sunday football. Nowhere to go.
So if you're I have to ask, as an Oklahoma person, do you root for Kansas City or do you root for Texas or?
Are we talking college?
Which team do you, oh, you're going to college football?
Well, yes. So college football, I'm a Texas Tech Red Raider. But I also cheer for OU because that's where both my kids go. And professional football, I am usually always rooting for the Dallas Cowboys, but then I don't know. I have lots of teams that I like in the NFL.
Okay.
But the Cowboys are it, and Dolly Parton is performing at the halftime show on Thanksgiving, so I'm really excited about that.
Think
I
I
don't
just
have
heard the
tickets
door
yet.
open
Good.
or not.
Well, that could be Bo going out. I don't know. We do technically have a quorum, so.
We do, although Don is going to be instrumental in the
Yes.
pool budget discussion.
Mhm.
So
Don will be here. I dropped him off. His vehicle was moving, so all is well.
okay.
We were doing a shuttle from the starting point.
Gotcha. So let's see. We can get through some beginnings of
Right.
things. So I'm going to call us to order at 3:05 p.m. With Nancy Dixon, Jay Kita, and Jesse Stroop. Here for roll call. We understand Don Walker is on his way, and Phil McIntyre will not be joining us today. To the group that's there, are there any additions, deletions, or corrections to the agenda?
Nope.
I have one item I would like to give a report on UTAP. And so I'd like to amend the agenda to that. Are you guys okay with that? All in favor?
Yep. Jesse, could I also mention something about the RREO grant, trying for the second time, the recycling?
Absolutely.
Okay, it's a really quick little one statement report.
Okay, so we'll have those two items added into reports, and I'd like to move reports up to go before new business. So all in favor of accepting that? Motion on the
Aye.
table. Aye.
I
Approved. Are there any persons present not on the agenda? I don't see anyone in Zoom land.
Nope.
No one here.
All right. So then let's go on into reports.
Well, hold on,
No,
hold on. You gotta approve the minutes.
I forgot.
And the seconds, the
yes.
minutes, the seconds, and we'll get around to the hours eventually.
Yes. Nancy, you did a great job on the minutes as always.
Dawn just walked in.
And Don is walking in. Good. Always, you can't leave anyone behind. All in favor of approving the minutes as submitted. I
I
move.
would, I'd say yay.
All right, Jay seconds, and all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Meeting minutes approved. So then we're gonna jump into reports. Who would like to give a report on Friends of Ute Pass Trail Workday for October 5th and October the 11th?
You have the text of Rocco's trail report. I'll just reference that to say that there's a shit pile of work that we've done.
Yeah, I would say not only within those 2 work days, but comprehensively looking at the entire year's work. Really outstanding. Really outstanding. And when we go into budgets, we'll want to make sure that we get the 2024 budget number correct for Friends of the Ute Pass Trails. Has that been discussed? Is anyone aware?
Yes, and the amount will not change for 2024.
That is incredible and wonderful. Anything else on Friends of the Ute Pass Trails? I'm gonna move on to my report then. Last week, Becky and I spoke with Jeffrey Wood with UTAP. UTAP is the University Technical Assistance Program. And what they do is offer support for projects like Pool Park. They had initially they had been approved by the town board of trustees to look at ways to make the pool more efficient, get community input about what the community wanted regarding the pool, et cetera, et cetera. We looked at that scope of work and thought that we would have them help us with the entire pool project, pool park project, instead of only focusing on the pool. Wouldn't change their pricing, which has already been approved. They would support us during community engagement, and they would offer us renderings and drawings as needed as we go through the project. A place that we're definitely need some support. So I am thrilled to have the opportunity to work with them and have them help us with what we're doing. Initially, they really wanted to take on the bulk of the community engagement. And I just responded that this was something that I thought our group excelled at, and I would rather keep that in-house, although welcome their support. Any comments or questions?
No, it sounds like things are starting to seem together, and that's good.
Yeah, it's that, and I'm excited about that potential help there. Nancy, I believe you had a report.
Yeah, so you guys remember the RREO recycling grant that we applied for and got denied, and then we were told what we did wrong on that grant. That's coming open again November 6th with the deadline of January 5th. So I just wanted to put that out there, that it's out there again, and we can use lessons learned and possibly get a recycling dumpster for our dumpster blind. I was told by the mayor that this should probably get board approval again, since it's a new cycle. So at our next meeting, we can talk about it more and see, if we want to go further with doing this grant again. I mean, we're sort of old hats at it. We sort of know what we're doing. And we got feedback as to what we can do better. So hopefully, with that feedback, we'd be able to have a successful grant.
So Nancy, quantifying that, are there a few paragraphs that we need to clean up and change our asks in, or is it more in depth than that?
It's more of things that they didn't cover. So we know now take them out. I think like the concrete pad, they
Right.
said we don't cover that. And then it was a matter of, I believe I put in there some security cameras, some lighting, and I just listed it, and they wanted screenshots of like from Amazon or whatever. They wanted to see the exact
View field,
yes.
so that they could justify what would the camera bring to the situation.
Or what it looked like, or, just things like that. So
No,
it's
not,
easy. The dumpster will stay the same. Dawn did the research on that last time. But it'll be a matter of just sort of cleaning it up and putting in an ask for what they will give us money for. I don't think any of the narrative needed to be changed, but we can definitely look through that again. And, at the next meeting, I'll just put the old application in there, and we can look through it and sort of see what needs to be updated along with their feedback.
okay. Jay, you went the wrong direction on that. They're not looking for the view field. They're looking for screenshots of actual equipment or specifications of equipment that we want to purchase.
So a screenshot of the like the
The equipment itself.
okay. Okay. What particular cameras we
Model.
would use?
Yes.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay, anything else on reports before we move on to new business? Item 5A, new business, Brandy Morales. I think we all are aware of her and have worked with her in the community. She's applied to be a PRT member, and she did say that she would serve as an alternate if that's what we wanted to do. Do we want to look at her?
I'm getting there. I'm new at this job.
I like it because you're not scrolling up and down and getting me lost.
Mhm.
Okay, there you go.
So any questions or comments from the group?
Brandy has been a trail ambassador for 3 years. She wasn't able to do much last summer because she was really busy with what she's doing in the military. But I think this has that has sort of tapered off or come to an end, and so she's wanting to get more involved. And she approached me about being on the PRT. I think she'd be a valuable asset.
Yeah.
Because she's very passionate about the trails. You can see that, but also she understands it's more than just trails. She understands it's parks and other things that we take care of.
Yeah. And the other thing that comes up is that having an alternate would be a really useful thing to supplement the time we've got here. I serve as an alternate on the outdoor Pikes Peak. No, on the no, I'm on Outdoor Pikes Peak. I'm an alternate on the Fountain Creek Watershed Alliance. And there are times where things get a little hairy and you need extra bodies. I think that would be a great thing to add her as an alternate, with the expectation that she could jump up and fill in should one of us not be able to be part of it, or one of us time out because of the length of service. the terms of office have changed, so that might be very valuable to have another person on the staff.
I'm not aware of how it works having alternates on town board levels. Does that mean if she was an alternate that she could have sat in for Phil McIntyre today?
No.
No.
That means that if there's an opening on our committee, she would be the first on the list.
Okay.
But she can't just fill in for someone who's absent
Gotcha.
because she's not an official member of that committee yet. But she can, like as a secretary, I can send her minutes and the agenda packets and things like that. So she can keep on top of what we're doing as a committee.
May I ask then, Nancy, the role I was aware of for governmental organizations in El Paso County is an alternate can attend to substitute for a specific member if that person cannot make it. That's not the case with this?
Town manager's right next door. We could ask her.
I will ask, just if I can take a moment. I just want to make sure that we know something about it. Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
I think that door is probably locked though. You're gonna have to go around. Okay.
Well, I think it's great that she's applied. I have worked with Brandy several times and really enjoy being around her. So I'm happy that she wants to be part of the group, as well as several other community members who have inquired about being on the board recently. Shows that we're doing good work and people want to be part of it. So
Agreed.
So we'll wait for Jay to come back before do we make a decision today on this?
So it would be a matter of voting to recommend her to the board so they can approve her as an alternate for the committee. And then I'm assuming, but we'll see what Jay brings back. Then if there is an opening, then she would automatically just go in and it wouldn't have to have board approval because they already approved her. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
I mean, it does make sense. I mean, I can see it working. I just don't know that I'm not sure that actually works to our benefit.
What happens if we need somebody with specific skill sets?
That's exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah,
The coordinate-
I don't know how that all works. I don't know the logistics of that. If you can pick and choose, like if there's another alternate, if you can pick or choose. I don't know.
Yeah, well, let's I think I would be interested in kicking the can on this decision until we knew exactly the nuances of how this would work, affect us.
We can definitely table it. And come back with more information.
I think that's a great idea. Good idea, Nancy.
Thank you. Jay still hasn't returned though, but
That ship has sailed.
Don go chase after Jay. Then we don't have a quorum.
Right. All right, so having that tabled, item 5B, I think, is our budget discussion. Is that correct, Nancy?
Well, so going back to the table, you need to move and second and vote on that.
Okay, I move that we table the discussion on Brandy Morales' application to join PRT until we have further information.
The second.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
And then the motion to table passes. Let's
Hey,
see.
Jay, just to catch you up, we're tabling it until next meeting until we get more information.
I've got more information.
Okay, we're just gonna table it.
Okay.
So on November the 14th, the PRT, I specifically, but I think the PRT collectively has 15 minutes to speak to the Board of Trustees about our budget. So, so I'd like to go through the pool budget first today, and then go through the parks budget, and and come up with what we're going to spend our 15 minutes on, and how and what we're going to ask for. I believe at the last meeting, we said that we'd take two parallel sets of notes today. Someone would be taking notes about the numbers that we finalized today, and another person would be taking notes to help us in our 2023 year-end review report. Am I remembering that correctly?
Yes, you are.
Okay, and who was gonna do which?
Jay had his hand up for something.
I will take either of those roles. You
Okay.
want me to keep track of the final numbers?
Yeah, Jay, if you'll keep notes on our 2023 year-end review report, and Nancy, if you'll take numbers on our budget ask, then I can reconcile your notes, Nancy, into our 15 minutes.
Okay.
So Don, do you want to walk us through here?
You're gonna do the pool budget
Right
first.
now.
Right now.
Okay, here we go. The main changes I highlighted in yellow from last year. The first one you can see is pool coordinator wages. I've allowed a salary for a full-time pool coordinator to run operations. Then the next item of change is the water. We've gone from down to $300 because we anticipate using the well water that we fixed this year to fill and supply the pool. The pool house will still be using CSU water for the sinks and the toilets. There was an upward adjustment on the pool chemicals just because of inflation and experience to $800. Equipment repairs was a flat addition of $10,000 thereabouts from last year. That $10,000 would include a purchase of a new boiler, a water heater, and possibly a new circulator pump. However far it would go, but in that line of priorities. A little bit more for facility repairs, window, paints, caulking, stuff like that. Supplies, a little bit more for supplies. So we're looking at a total deficit of $25,000 from the after revenues are realized, or a total expenditure from the general fund of $25,000. And that's if you go back to 2021, there was the board approved $30,000 for the pool operations. And so basically that's what we're asking for again, but I believe that they would understand that they would get a lot more bang out of their buck, as we have demonstrated with $15,000 for this past season. That's all. Any questions?
Yes, how many days per week would the pool be open under this plan?
How many days per week would it be open?
the same as last year's, 3 days a week, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I might recommend an hour. The operations change a little bit. Instead of opening at 8 o'clock, that we would open at 9 o'clock and have 1 hour of adult swimming as opposed to 2, and then close at 5 in the afternoon instead of 4.
That sounds nice.
So that's 9 to 5 from
Friday,
Memorial-
Saturday, and Sunday. Yeah.
Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, Memorial Day to Labor Day.
Yeah. Weekend. Weekend.
And Don, what was our ask last year? What was the
What?
amount?
How much did we ask last year? 15,000?
15,000 last year, and it was approved, a 3-star plan.
Hmm.
And then this year we'll ask for 30,000, which is comparable to what they approved the year before last.
Any?
I
What
have
if-
a question.
go ahead.
If the 10,700 for the equipment repairs is not, if they say, nope, we can't do it this year, can they be Band-Aided for another season? Or is it like, no, this is a do or die? We have to have all that equipment replaced before we could reopen the pool again?
We could Band-Aid it again. The one question I can't answer, or one answer I can't give, it was respect to boiler safety. We were not inspected this year. It does have a very probable crack in the heat exchanger. It was not leaking during service. But it's not likely that the insurance company would let us operate it knowing that it had a crack in the heat exchanger.
So there's a concern about safety.
Okay,
Yeah, and if that's the case, then they won't insure it and we can't run it. So, but if they say, oh, it's okay, then we'll try to roll it for another year.
so if the boiler needed to be replaced, but there was a shortfall in funds, what would the boiler itself represent?
I believe that it could
Order of
be
magnitude, just,
replaced within that budgeted amount.
well, okay, because you mentioned boiler and boiler and.
Water heater.
and Circ pump. Could you, would $5,000 cover a boiler? Or is it the full 10.7?
It's very difficult for me to say at this point in time because I'm not qualified to spec a boiler for that pool. It'd
Okay.
have to be done by
All right,
professional.
I was just curious if Nancy's kind of probing to see if there is a problem where what would our cutback point be? But it sounds like we can't do that.
No, that's the question I can't answer because
Right.
I don't know from a safety
Right.
perspective whether the insurance company who insures the boiler would allow it in operation
Yeah.
and in its current
Just-
status.
Just sketching two hypotheticals. Town has a shortfall in money and the insurance company pushes us. What do we need to do? Could we limp? Could we
No.
do one section of the equipment?
Yeah.
If that's not,
The boiler is the highest priority.
yeah.
Everything else can be Band-Aided and
Mhm.
you know, it's my recommendation that we don't operate the boiler the way it is.
Yeah.
But, you know, it was decided by the powers to be that we would run it. So that's what we did.
So we've got, we've got just shy of a month before we have to present this. What would you think, Don, of calling, Scott's spa and pool company and just have them come and give us a replacement cost on the boiler so that we know that number.
Sure.
And I don't think it matters who it is. It would have to go out to bid anyway if we were actually gonna buy one, but Scott's Spa does the Little Beaver Inn, so he's there once a week and could probably easily come over and look at our equipment and maybe advise us on what we would need to spend.
I don't know. I've had some discussions with Scott about the operation of the boiler. I don't know if he's the one I would choose.
Okay,
But if we want to get an estimate for a replacement boiler, we can certainly do that.
okay. I think it'd be better. I'd feel more comfortable approaching the board with a backup plan.
That's why I was asking the question.
And then Dawn, so the 8,400 for the pool coordinator, that's separating the pool coordinator out from a lifeguard.
Yes.
Okay,
I mean, I'm not, it's like, you know, it's last year. If you find the right person, could they fill both roles? Yes. But you don't have any backup if one or the other fails,
right,
which is what happened this year.
right. So that, yes, okay, got it. So it just depends on what kind of staff that could be hired. Someone who could handle both roles
Yes.
could possibly, then that could possibly come down, that number, or be a little bit. I mean, so if you had a pool coordinator who was also a lifeguard, that 14,700 number might be a little bit smaller. Because you're combining the lifeguard wages and the pool coordinator wages. Does that make sense?
I foresaw this next operational year, 2 people in at the operation at all times. One at the front desk, one out at the pool as a lifeguard. If you don't have that front desk, a trained person, then we're losing potential donations and support for our operation because they become our ambassador to what we're doing out there, as you know.
Right.
And if you can't convey the information, or if you're not there just thanking them for supporting us, our operation will get weak, I think.
Yeah. So the expectation of the pool coordinator, something that would be in their job scope, would to be on the front desk
Yes,
when it's open,
yes,
3 days a week.
yes,
And that way, then there's a lifeguard. So then we're sort of getting away from volunteers at the front desk
yes.
because they weren't as reliable.
I don't want to,
Yeah,
I
no,
would
no.
not say
It's
that.
hard.
I'm just saying if we want to improve our operation, that's the place to improve it.
Well, and with trail ambassadors, I'm only asking for 4 hours, 2-hour shifts. This is a little bit different. You have 8 hours, 3 days a week. That's hard to fill with volunteers. That is a hard ask for volunteers to do. And on a weekend, that's just hard. So I think you're totally justified in asking for a pool coordinator who is, the expectation is to be there when the pool is open.
Mhm.
So,
And opening and closing
yes,
and making sure the paperwork is done. We developed a process this year in administration by, collecting the information that we wanted. And it was important for us. And that's the way I think it should be done going forward.
yep, no, I agree. It was our pilot year and we learned from the pilot year. So makes sense. Just wanted to double check how that was.
Yeah, Don, I sorry to do this, but I want to question if we can't go the other direction and maybe be open one more day a week.
How's that in the other direction?
Uh, well, it's increasing this number rather than decreasing it.
Oh,
Oh. Sure. I think, you know, Thursday is a potential extra day for us during the week.
Yeah, I think the effort that goes in to getting the pool open, um, you know, for not much more, we can be open another day a week.
that's true.
Well, it would make the job, if you're looking to hire someone for that kind of a role, the job would be more substantial if it was 4 days a week. It's weekend work, but we could put it in the budget proposal for both. That would be for both lifeguard and coordinator then. That's your
maybe-
suggestion, Jess?
That is my suggestion, that we do that and that we still, you know, that we still offset our needs with volunteers where we can. But yeah, I think for this big of an ask, I'd like to have that, include another day of the week. And that's just my thought. We're discussing right now.
It's going to be approximately $5,600 a day. So that extra day would be add $5,600 to the salary expense.
Total for both the lifeguard and coordinator.
Yeah. So I'm figuring, you know, $25 an hour for 16 hours.
Sorry, I-
$400 for a day, and then we're open 14 weeks.
What do you guys think about that?
I think it makes sense, especially since our pilot, we were doing bare bones and just the weekend. Having another day would be helpful. I think the board will balk at $35,000 ask. So there's gonna have to be some negotiation going on in there. You know, that's why I'm asking about the 10,007 to see if there's some wiggle room in there, because going from a $15,000 ask to a $35,000 ask is going to be a big jump.
So,
I'm just talking from a budget.
okay, I don't like to play the budget game. If someone was to ask me from the board, I say, well, if you can't afford to operate it without thinking you're going to have to replace some major parts, then why go forward with it? These are essential elements of the operation that need to be replaced, and try, if you think let's try to go with it until it breaks down, that's to me the wrong way to do it.
You pretend from your perspective, you could set up a plan to open the pool and then fail to keep it functional because of a boiler breakdown or
Yeah.
failure.
Well,
and no money to fix it.
Yeah.
and we're actually playing catch up from decades of neglect.
Right. Yeah.
So that is the piece that's hard too, is that in the past, there should have been some maintenance and upkeep and everything so that we're not in this boat where it's a do or die because of equipment too. So that it's hard to play catch up. You know what I'm saying?
It is, but it's realistic in the sense that if we can't afford to operate it, let's not.
Yeah.
That's the cold hard reality. I mean, let's see, if I put a close to 1,000 hours in working on that facility. What is that, $50,000?
You put in
100,000
nine hundred
easy.
and forty-two hours.
Huh?
942 hours.
You haven't got in my last October's yet.
Because you haven't given it to them.
Okay. Can I raise a suggestion then?
Well,
The-
before you do,
Um,
Jay, let me respond to Don, because I hear what you're saying, Don. But another way to look at that is they're approving the operational budget for the pool. And if the boiler breaks, then they have to have an emergency ask to replace the boiler. Which means that they could do it at that time. And it's hard to not look at the fact that we're rethinking the pool in its entirety, and we could be we could be putting in a boiler that's that won't work with the new pool setup, or or sort of spending money twice. We know that the pool heater could most likely be replaced in a year through a grant. So with that knowledge, I would rather say, let's increase a day of the week, let's pay that money to staff. And if the boiler goes down, then we have to have an emergency discussion. Yes, Jay.
Another perspective, Jesse, is to make the ask for the 4-day operation as a 5-star kind of operation, a better operation to exploit and use this resource as much as we can. And if the then $35,000 allocation is something the board can't support, then we cut back to the 3-day a week allocation or plan that we've originally proposed. That's a bit of budgetary. That's a disingenuous approach, asking for something, asking for the moon, and then being satisfied with low Earth orbit, but it would be a stable low Earth orbit. It would meet the physical requirements of the structure. It would keep the unit operating and would meet, but that would be the fallback position.
Well, and something that could supplement this is, we had a very successful last night at the pool, an evening at the pool, which got us to brainstorming and thinking about renting the pool for, evening activities. And having, coming up with a flat fee for rental and everything. So that could be another revenue stream for the pool, is having rentals in the evening that could defray more of these costs, because you have down here, 5,000 that is defray, that's going from this year's estimate, right? The 2,700, and I'm not sure what else, but maybe there's other avenues of bringing in revenue to the pool. And, the square wasn't set up to begin with, so we lost some revenue there. So hopefully there's going to be more brought in.
And we know for a fact that Greenbox is interested in doing like swim aerobics on some mornings of the festival. So there'll be some programming. There's some guaranteed income for the pool.
Yeah.
To me, the money portion, the budgeting is an easy thing to do. The administration of the budget, that's where we'll succeed or fail. Because I know, I mean, that's what I experienced this year. So if we don't have, a coordinator in place that can coordinate, none of these budgetary plans will ever come to fruition. We won't be able to stay open 4 days a week. We certainly won't be able to have special events because all that takes special administration.
So the key is getting a good pool coordinator, hiring someone that can handle that, the administrative part of it and the coordination part of it and the operations part of it. And that's, yeah.
Yeah, and take that phone call
Yeah.
and make that booking. They got to know how to make a booking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
True. Agreed.
So, so 5-star would be the $35,000 ask with being open one more day a week and equipment repairs and replacement. I think 4-star would be the $35,000 ask, being open the additional day of the week, and equipment repairs or replacement if needed, which means they're not really committing that $10,000 unless something breaks.
I would think that, I do not know the condition of the boiler myself, but I think that the boiler is, if the boiler is cracked, we need to allocate money for that. We could present this as a multi-year and budgetary item, but if it's a maintenance issue.
I want to make sure for the record that I do not know for certain where the leak is coming from or why it's leaking. I can just use my own experience with boilers and say it's very likely that it has a cracked heat exchanger, because I know for a fact that there was 2 water plugs in that boiler that were not pulled last year. So I'm just saying it's very likely it's a freeze crack.
Yeah, can we have a boiler person come and look at it?
The town insurance policy requires a boiler inspector. I shouldn't really answer for the town, but typically in my past experience, a boiler is an additional policy to your main policy, and requires an annual inspection. And then there's a certification that is posted at the boiler indicating so. And that was not done this past season.
As a business manager, when I suspect that my spa heater is broken, I call someone and have them come and verify that it's broken and tell me how much it would cost to fix it. And it has been an ongoing frustration of mine that the town doesn't do that. We're told that the septic doesn't have the capacity to add more users. What? We remember that from 20 years ago? Why are we afraid to ask people?
We were also told the well had collapsed.
Right. That's a perfect example of, I just don't understand why we're afraid to ask. Sorry, I got on my soapbox for just a minute.
I'm glad to see you're normal.
Well, don't fall off of it. You'll hurt your ankle again.
So I'm frustrated because where are we? Don, this is your call, Don.
I understand how you wanted to present it. I really do, and that's the normal realm of how corporate budgets are presented, and I'm just have a tendency to be more upfront. And if a trustee asks me, I just say, look, if you don't have an extra 10 grand to spend this year possibly on running that pool, I can't even say it.
Yeah,
But,
and
public safety is imperative. We need to have a professional look at the boiler and tell us what it's capable of doing.
I hear what you're saying, Don, and I don't know that if you asked any, a total respect to the Board of Trustees, I don't know that if you asked any of them that question, if they could give it an answer. But what I see historically is that they approve emergency expenses all the time that are well within that range. And so it seems like based on that there's some funding available that they're not going to touch unless they have to.
Okay, well, I will yield to the committee, whatever they think's best.
Well, Jesse, I think you can do like the full ask. You could do the 35,000 ask. You could also give some details on what's in that 35,000. Like, we want to open an extra day, so that's an extra $5,600. The equipment is on its last legs. That's why we have 10,700 in there. You can give those details to them. They have the final say, but they should have full knowledge of what each one of those itemized increases or additions entail.
Yeah, the money sitting in the budget does not need to be spent if the system can be made to work, or if a resolution is obtained on the a solution is found for the short-term action for the boiler. We should go ahead and replace it. We should put it in the money, because knowing that it's gonna come up. But if things are tight, if there's a consequence, then the stretch of spending that money might not need to be taken.
And you are fortunate to have a mayor who is a little bit intimate with that boiler too, not as much as Don is, but he does know the background of, the condition of the equipment in that pool. And we'll be able to make a qualified judgment off of that too. Another thing that is going to affect the town budget is the Prop HH. And after after the election day, that is a matter of, if it doesn't pass, it's a 28% increase. If it does pass, it's only a 4%. So that is going to affect the town's budget too, unfortunately. But I say, Jesse, ask for, Dawn can edit this page to put in the 4th day, but then we could also give clarifications.
Okay. All right. I feel good about that. Don?
Dawn's smiling.
Okay, I can't see.
I think that's a smile. Yeah,
Yes.
it was.
Well, the last thing I'm going to say about it is the town and Don both made sure, both stepped up and went above and beyond to keep the pool open this year. So I think that shows a lot of good faith going forward. for
do
every,
too. And I think also another point that needs to be made on this is the hours that Don put in. Too. Because he was stepping up to being at the front desk multiple times. And so that number, that 84,000 or 8,400, that's basically Don worked that for free. So, you know, that needs to be talked about also.
absolutely, absolutely. And I can do that in my breakdown of that number or in my explanation of the ask. All right, you guys happy with that for the pool?
So very happy. Moving on.
All right, let's go on to parks.
Oh, oops, I'm taking notes too here, so
Oh,
give
I
me a
got you.
break.
It's okay, I can take a breath.
Okay.
So, I assume that when we go through this, we're gonna find some things that we didn't complete or that we never did, or we'll realize some things that we did and didn't budget for. So, so let's just go line by line, starting at health planning and treatment for signature trees. We put in for a contractor to do that. I'm unaware that this happened.
Well,
So-
that was not a board approved budget item. That did not get approved this year.
And that's exactly what I want you to share. And so do we think it's important to ask for it again? I sort of think it should go in the maybe bucket.
I'm sorry, I'm not following.
The very, very top one where it says health planning and
Ah.
treatment for signature trees, contractor, $2,000. That was not approved by the board for the PRT budget. Now, everything below it was approved. That one line item was not approved.
Okay, so that is something that was done this year?
No, no,
Okay.
it was not.
Okay, so everything else, other than the contractor statement at the top, everything else is as it was last year? So the only new item is the contractor for the signature trees?
This is this year's ask. This is this year's budget up here right now.
Okay,
And we're gonna go through this year, see what wasn't done or what was
Mhm.
done and sort of modify it for our ask for 2024.
thank you. I didn't follow that bit of the
Okay.
conversation.
Did I do good?
Yes, thank you for clarifying, Nancy. So, so that line item for $2,000, do we want to include that in our 2024 ask or not? And I say, let's put it in the maybe bucket and talk about our maybe bucket at the end of this, after we get firm yeses and nos. Does that make sense?
I like the maybe bucket. Yes.
All right.
Well, I could say that I did tree work there, okay? And Jay did tree work. It
Little bit.
still needs a lot of tree work. So it's something that if we're budgeting, we ought to be in there somewhere.
I think this is not trimming of trees. This is basically having a professional come out and check the health to
Yeah.
see if there's any mistletoe, to see if it needs more minerals, to see, you know, how do you preserve the health, but especially for our little Dr. Seuss
well,
tree that is very,
that-
popular.
That
The leaning,
cottonwood stump is a breeding ground for fungus right now, so
Right,
that it needs to be removed.
right.
Mowing and trimming. We all know that should be budgeted for. We also know who did it last year. Thank you. and it's not the person who we scheduled it for. So, so Jay, that is an item that should go in the deficit column for
That's,
year-end report.
yep, that's the note I was making right here.
Okay. Invasive plants and mitigation of weeds. We know that a contractor did not do that. We know that volunteers really laid into that. So it's definitely something that we should budget for. And Jay, you know how to note that.
Yep, I do want to make a note, invasive plants are actually much more prominent now than they were last year. I was up on the Pittman property pulling weeds the last couple of days. We are gonna have a serious problem there, so that's, an item that needs to be added.
However, Pittman is historic Green Mountain Falls,
Yeah.
not town.
Oh, that's true, yes. I'm just commenting that there are significant areas of invasive weeds.
And historic, that one's easy because historic can get a contractor to come and take care of that. Or I say that's easy, we gotta find one, but
Okay.
historic can do that up there.
Is there a number the one would want to associate with that?
So last year, we only budgeted man hours towards it.
So it was assumed to be volunteer man hours or public works?
No,
It was assumed to be covered by the CWD, here is Community Work Day. So the Community Work Day would have,
started
had
it.
the initial work at it, and then D was ongoing work by a contractor done. Can you scroll down, Nancy?
Yeah, it's a designated employee or contractor, so that would have been the part-time seasonal person that should have been hired,
Okay.
but they couldn't find anyone.
Okay,
And
thank
so,
you.
so it basically came down to volunteers.
Yeah, I didn't know how that form was constructed. Thank you.
Mhm.
Yeah, and then and further to the right, Jay, so that we estimated that employee would have spent 32 hours on that task.
Okay, so that's $800 then at $25 an hour?
Well, our budget is gonna be public works hours, volunteer hours, and in dollars for specific projects. So don't include a dollar amount.
Okay,
It's just because we don't know what the designated employee is gonna get paid. I'm pretty comfortable leaving the hours that we estimated. We don't know if it would have worked or not because we never got a designated employee.
Yeah,
But
I think
it
that
was-
would be wise to leave the hours the same.
Yeah, it was a format that the board understood and approved, so I'd like to stick with that format. So, Jay, I think for your report, you can go through this, and anywhere that there's a D or a D for designated employee, PW for public works, contractor, you'll know. And then Nancy already has a total of our volunteer hours, so we'll compare apples and oranges in that report.
okay.
So with that in mind, should we go, let's keep going line by line. I'm tempted to just go to dollar amounts and work on the budget, but I like killing two birds with one stone here. So the goose repellent, yeah, we know it didn't happen like it should have, but we know what it would have cost, and that was $600. So I think we should leave that in. The next item is reseeding or fertilizing. We know that that didn't happen. I'm sure we all still think it's a good idea.
Yes.
Um,
And this is, and what we're looking at right now is just gazebo park.
correct.
FYI. And it does, I mean, because the island is looking a little bare.
Mhm. Uh, irrigation systems maintained and winterized. You know, I don't think that that happened, but we should still budget for it. The lake fountain surface and maintained, service to maintained, we all know what happened there. We should still budget for it because it still has to be installed next year.
Does it need to be that much?
I'm gonna say yes to install it and then to deinstall it.
This new fountain takes a bigger service.
Uh,
I don't know what we have there, so I can't say
okay,
how much we need to add, but it's definitely going to draw a bigger current. So, and I'm not even sure. I'll end it there. Thank you.
okay, got it.
That's concerning. That'll keep me up. Thanks, Don.
Don is good at that.
So, drinking fountain inspected and functional. I think we should leave it. There's nothing in this section that I see that I want to change, but what about you guys?
Oh,
the-
what about the split rail fence
Yeah, have we finished all of that work?
Yes.
on gazebo park?
No.
Is it yes or no, Don?
The final answer is no,
Okay,
because we were waiting for the construction to end up at our catch basin pond. Before we considered extending the split rail fence all the way to
oh,
Lake Street,
across the,
Hotel Street.
you mean across U Pass Avenue?
Parallel to Ute Pass Road.
Parallel to Ute Pass,
Okay,
all the way to Hotel Street.
Do you want to do that with the stairs coming up from the lake?
That's where it ends presently. I think it would look more homogeneous if the fence continued onward to the end of the lake.
I agree.
And I think I actually measured that distance in my split rail estimate. I just didn't include it, the dollars.
Got it.
And what about the dollar amount here? Should that change?
So it's 250 here. Is that okay?
$350?
250.
250? No.
Obviously not. When he says with.
We had the advantage of using inventory that the town had in the past, and it's all been depleted, so it'll all be new. I have to buy new material. So we spent approximately $300 on 50 feet of it up there on Catamount, which we donated to the town. So if we have, I'll have to look at my notes. If we have, 200 feet, then you can extrapolate from that. $1,200 in materials.
Did you hear that, Jesse?
Yeah, let's change it to 1250.
Oh, just add a 1?
Yeah. So next is inspect, repair playground equipment and grounds.
Can we back up for a second to the,
Oh.
that a line item for the bio toilets?
Oh, yeah. Let's do.
Septic and bathrooms. That's maintenance.
Septic maintenance on bathrooms. We want to leave that or anticipate having the expense for porta potties there.
I mean, I know which direction the board, the PRT is leaning. But I think. I think we're good either way, Don, because if we are budgeting dollars for it, our public works hours and those go away and convert to dollars, it's the same.
It faded
So-
away.
So right now we have public work hours. So if those maintenance hours go away, that can be used as monies to rent the porta pots.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah, I think we budgeted for it either way. That if we look at it that way. Any other changes you guys want to make in this section? Going down to anything before Pool Park.
I'm sorry. I just had one more thought on that line item. I think that kind of severely underestimates the labor required to maintain those bio toilets as it is today. Is that something we want to consider changing? So the board could see the, the advantageous, the money saving prospect of changing the toilet system.
Yeah, what would you estimate this to be?
Conservatively, twice a week for the whole, or three parts, 3 seasons.
So that would be,
So currently we budgeted it for twice a week.
For 9 months.
We did from May the 15th to we did the season. We did the summer season. So we could double that.
it doesn't.
Change it from 40 to 80.
Correct.
If you're talking 80 hours, that divided over 26 or 30
Yes.
weeks, that's about 2 hours, 2.5 hours a session. Is that sufficient?
Yes.
Okay.
Anything else you want to change in that section going down to Pool Park? If not, then let's look at Pool Park. And tell me if there is anything that we want to change there. We do need to discuss the repairing and repainting of the exterior fence at Pool Park. So,
So I have a question.
Huh?
Since you had brought up about the boiler might not be matching what, is needed in the future for the pool project, and the fence might be something that becomes a victim in the pool park project. Do we want to put the time and effort into painting a fence that might only be up for another year?
I had the same feeling, Nancy. Now we might want to pressure wash it.
Yeah, we can pressure wash it and take off all the dead skin. But I don't see any reason to paint it and revitalize it if it's only going to be up for another season or two. Does that make sense? Because it might be a totally re-envisioned area.
Yeah.
And that fence might not be part of that vision.
Don, if we pressure wash it and don't seal it, how quickly are we gonna lose the integrity of that fence? Or is that even a concern?
The integrity is already lost,
Yeah.
whether that, the flakes bark remains on there or not, really doesn't, it's already been damaged and
Okay.
the dry rot set in, but so I don't think it's a consideration.
Okay. So what should we budget either time or money wise to pressure wash it? Or do we just leave it?
Say, I'd say a contractor's gonna allow 5 days.
I was going to say 2.
And that's probably all it'll take him, but he would allow 5.
Oh.
That's what they'll bid.
I mean, what's gonna happen is you're gonna find repairs that need to be made on that fence. I already know of repairs that need to be made. So if we're gonna do it right, we're gonna scale it. We're gonna go in there and make some repairs on the rotted places and shore up the posts. The posts have worked loose from the concrete, stuff like that. So I could spend 5 days on it.
Of course you could.
So let's dedicate 40 hours of public works labor to that.
Take off the 2,000.
Yeah. Because if we're not buying paint, then there's no expense to that other than time
Got
and
it.
and then repairs. That's definitely one where we're gonna see probably that fence thought into something new and we're getting a new one with the park renovation. So I think the appetite to spend money and then respend it here is
No
we're all
bueno.
no bueno. So anything else in pool park that we need to discuss?
How about the new gardens that are going in? Do we need to allow any money for purchase of flowers or plants?
Is that area going to be adopted by the school again?
It already is.
Mhm.
I've had a detailed text from Barrett and explaining what they're going to do this season. I still would like to meet with her and ask her to what extent her plans are for the gardens, whether it be one garden or both or all 3. Actually, there's going to be a 3rd one that's added. So as we've discussed previously.
Did we
No.
supplement what they're doing with some structural plants?
I think that she had said that over this winter and next spring, they are growing seedlings, native plants that will thrive, and that they're going to be using those to plant around the pool and use with the garden that Dawn is talking about. So there shouldn't be any cost
No.
to the town for that, for plants, but I believe that's what I read in her text.
They're not exactly growing ornamental flowers. They're more organic and herbs and stuff like that. I would personally would like to see some ornamental flowers there, some color. Maybe some, move in some landscaping rocks, that sort of thing.
I can give you some marigold seeds.
Yeah.
Do we want to, we're gonna ask the same question a couple of times, but do we want to put some dollars towards some plant material here?
I would like to see it personally,
How much would you like to see?
very much.
Like quantify a number, please.
I could make $500 go a long ways.
I say, let's ask for it.
Okay.
That's a lot of plants.
They're not cheap these days.
Yeah, and
Get
that,
them off season.
but that also is a way to tie in community involvement, though. That's the kind of thing that would be an easy sell. Doing this on behalf of the local community and building in participation of the students. Come on, that's an easy one.
Good public relations.
So, okay. I mean, I can see 500 if we're gonna do some soil amendment and do some structural plantings in preparation of what they're doing.
Yes, true.
Yeah, agreed. That's exactly where the money would go. And it may not be as efficient as a master gardener would have been, but it has a much more important function for the community.
Okay, I think that's a good way to look at it and gives us the flexibility if approved to move in directions. I really just, as long as we're in tune with what Barrett and the class are doing, I think it can be the difference between their project succeeding or failing. It's some help on our part. Squires Park. Do
Can
we
we remove the split rail fence on this one?
Hmm,
Oh, didn't you repair around Squires Memorial Park?
all done.
All done. So remove that line item? Not unless Don wants to build a fence somewhere else.
Yeah, let's take that one off.
So you've got mowing and you should put mowing and trimming into public works for next year.
Well, that was supposed to be, the D is the designated employee, so that was supposed to be that seasonal hire. That
I've
never
got,
happened.
thank you very
Yeah.
much. I'm sorry again.
Yeah, no worries.
Not familiar with the methodology.
Well, that's because I just made it up, Jay. But it worked. Anything else we need to change there?
No.
We
I don't-
did the inspection already. The memorial flag.
We
Yes.
did. What did we find?
It's
It's a
it needs.
mess.
We're gonna cut down the tree.
Well,
We're gonna reset the timer on the light.
does it need to be reset?
Yeah.
Oh, well, the mayor knows how to do that. I'll let him know.
Okay. I mean, I went by this afternoon or this morning
Okay.
and the lights were on, so.
Okay,
Hey,
got it.
I just noticed the irrigation system maintained and winterized. The irrigation system, the standpipe is broken. It's the standpipe that comes up, that's split and it looks as if it's frozen.
That's the sign.
Yeah, yeah. That will need a repair. If we're gonna irrigate there, that has to be looked at. I mean, Dusty commented that it wasn't. It's first, the standpipe is, the vertical access pipe is broken. And he didn't know whether the water connections were functional or not. So we may have, this may be.
Somebody needs to dig a hole.
Yeah. So that's actually a new item that probably should be allotted like 16 hours or 20 hours of public works time to sort that out. That should be listed up front. To the best of my knowledge, that irrigation system is not functional and not accessible.
I agree. What I've tried to do here was to put in, into a budget and a maintenance plan of inspecting things.
Okay.
Because something that the town just, and we can say in our end of the year report, we won't say it in the end of your report, but I could walk into Becky's office and I could say, look, we budgeted and you agreed to check this out once a year. What did you find? I don't know if it was done or not. I think it's a way to work with her to have her agree and use this as a source for scheduling public works.
Yeah.
But I don't think we need to anticipate what the repair is going to cost. Let's just make sure we're doing an inspection to begin with, was my point in this. We can do it either way though.
No, I see what you're doing, Jesse, and this is a good outline for the inspections and those things that need to be done on a regular basis, along with adding dollars or time as to what it takes to get it done. Ultimately, if I was the head of public works, this is exactly what I'd want.
Thank you, Don.
Brown noser.
That's under the fertilizing option.
Yeah. Oh, that's hilarious. That's why I love working on this group. And I even have on my cowboy boots, so bring it on. Okay, anything, should we move to Memorial Park then?
Yes.
Which is a big TBD. We do need to schedule by the end of this year our final public engagement about. Am I in the right park? Stilling Basin Park?
Yeah.
Okay, yep. So we need to, I do still have some homework. I still have that neighbor to talk to. And I still have to talk to Carla Chapman. So I have a little bit of homework before we can do that last public engagement piece. But it's still on my radar. I don't think we need anything here. TBD says it all.
You don't think we need a little bit of town buy-in monetarily to start?
I I do. I just don't know that it's gonna be a budgeted item. I think it's gonna be an unbudgeted request when we start fundraising.
All right. Maybe we should put a note on their fundraising possibilities or something, or fundraising, future fundraising.
Yeah, so that's a good idea. Why don't you put $5,000 for potential town
Match.
match?
Yes.
Yeah. Um, and then so that'll be a new form of expense in my summary. And we'll make sure it gets there.
Yep.
You know what I'm talking about, Nancy?
Yes, I just think it needs to be, that needs to be put in there since we're, a little bit weary of working with no budgets for everything. So just putting that out there that, town, we're working on this hard, but we are going to do some fundraising, but we'd like to have a match.
I think that's perfectly reasonable. And we are the PRT and we're asking the town for help to beautify their parklands.
Amen, Don.
That was so politically correct and nice. I don't even need to come to this anymore. It's good. So let's go to Triangle Garden then. We did have a request from, I think it was Danny, who said that they spent a lot of money out of their pocket on that project and they hoped that they could get some support with purchasing plants next year. Are you all remembering this too? And what should that dollar amount be?
I don't remember that. That might have been a side conversation you had with Danny, but I don't think we ever had it in the meeting. But I'll trust you.
Yeah.
I do sometimes have meetings just with myself. And forget that it didn't actually have.
As long as you don't have arguments with yourself.
Intelligent meetings then.
I'm pretty sure you did not bring this up in the meeting.
Okay.
If there's no Nancy minutes, there wasn't a meeting.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
So I have a they volunteered to do that garden. They volunteered to put in the plants. They volunteered to take care of it. That was part of having as an adopt a garden. I mean, Todd and I have adopted an area. I wouldn't think of asking the town because it's like we adopted that place. So we're taking care of it. We maintained it. And they are going above and beyond. Don't get me wrong. Their garden, it outshines our garden by a mile. But I don't know if do you see what I'm saying? I don't know if I agree with they volunteered to take that on.
I do see.
I do remember them asking for money
They did.
to buy a rain barrel.
Right. And the rain barrel didn't work. So then they didn't,
Okay.
they didn't purchase it because so Lisa Huzinga is basically putting big barrels in the back of her vehicle and going and watering and keeping that triangle garden going. I don't mean to sound like the bad guy or anything. But I just, to me, in my mind, when I adopted an area for the town to beautify it, I was going to take on everything that went with that. It's sort of like also the 4th and 5th graders. They are, they mitigate all the weeds. They take care of taking away all the bags that they mitigate and everything. They don't ask the town for bags to mitigate. They haven't asked the town for plants to plant. So these are just my thoughts. Discussion.
I definitely hear what you're saying, and I think that, let's reconsider then what we just agreed to do at Pool Park. Because we basically agreed to supplement that volunteer garden.
Well, that volunteer garden, the third one that Dawn is talking about is a
Isn't it-
flower bed that's going to be in the parking lot.
Okay, so let's just, okay, so for clarification, that's new and separate of what. schools-
Right.
Okay,
That's new and separate from what the fifth graders adopted.
okay, got it. I feel better about that.
I also would, in my own mind, tend to separate capital improvements on garden areas with respect to operational improvements to the garden areas. In other words, if they needed new railroad ties, you know, that would be more of a capital expense the town could bear. And then, you know, their little garden tools and weed sprayer and stuff like that, you know, that would be more operational and not necessarily a burden on the town.
So if it's a depreciable asset that the town owns versus plant material.
Yeah,
Yeah, and in that sense, the Triangle Garden already existed. And it was in place, so that,
the town actually supplied new ties for that
oh, really?
bed, yeah.
Okay,
How-
so that was
that's
done, that was done from stocks then,
right, from
so,
their inventory.
yeah, so that is consistent with that.
Yeah, let's just say we wanted to put a sprinkler system in that. You know, I think a town would want to bear that capital. It's a capital
Mhm.
improvement to
Yeah.
the park
And-
grounds,
and-
so
and
they
it-
should
and
bear
it
that. Yeah.
Maintains.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Hey, Jesse, how about this? How about they put a proposal together? Bring it to PRT. We make a recommendation to the board instead of having it as an official PRT budget item. That makes sense?
Yep.
Because
Yep.
that way they're bringing they're saying, okay, we adopted this garden. We're incurring some more expenses than we thought. Have a proposal, bring it to the PRT. We'll look through it and, you know, if we need to modify or whatever, and then we can bring it to recommend it to the board, and then the board can decide. And have it separate from our PRT budget.
I like it.
Okay.
Trails and trailheads. I would like to see some dollars budgeted for new signs and replacement signs.
You're
Uh,
talking about the sign on the southeast end of the town?
I'm not talking about any specific sign.
Okay. It leads off with a Mountain Road welcome sign.
Yeah,
So-
yeah. I think trails and trailheads, are all inclusive. I know that the Friends group has put some signs up there, but there's been some suggested signage. I think at our last meeting, someone showed a picture about a suggested sign. And it'd be nice if we already had dollars set aside to do those. When those come up, and then we can do them to the town design standard that we set.
So would that be an outside vendor or would it be town-made signs?
That would be an outside vendor because
Okay.
the town doesn't have the ability to produce the colors that we agreed to in our design standards.
Oh, so you're talking about the towers and adding different things to the towers?
Different things to the towers, or I think at the last meeting, there was someone had taken a picture of
That would be me.
Wildflower Meadow and there was a nice
Yeah.
sign. And we
Yeah.
could do that within our design standards. And I could have one printed up and it would be, you know, $16
Okay.
and then we could install it. So I'm talking about signs like that.
Okay.
Or, you know, if we spelled something wrong on a sign that we've got out there that we want to replace, or if one gets damaged. We
No.
just have a little bit of money here. Even
I
$200.
agree. What kind of budget would you think? What do you have in mind?
200.
That's minimum.
Take it up, Don.
Okay, 350. Do
Sounds
I
better.
hear four?
Four.
Four.
I'm going to pot. 500 lady in the corner over there. Are you on? Are you on?
Okay.
No.
You're being recorded. Okay, what did we end up with? I can't.
350.
350. 350. Got it.
Anything else in there that we need to change?
What about the Catamount Trailhead to be direct?
That would be historic Green Mountain Falls.
Okay,
And they have set aside a budget for that, and so I'm more than happy to work with that on anybody that's willing to help me get it there.
I volunteer.
Volunteer.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm on. I'm on. I was writing. I'm slow.
So, so then we get down to this summary statement, which I will redo based on what we worked through today. But there are a couple of line items in the yellow section that we can discuss. So the 4755, that number will change based on the discussion that we just had. The $300 ask for Trail Ambassador supplies and recognition event. Nancy, what do we need to do there?
I'm good with the 300. Let's just say supplies, take off the recognition event.
Okay,
Because what did I do? Oh, I sort of seamed it in with the pool party.
yeah, which was great.
Yeah.
Such a good thing.
I learned from the best.
The 1200 for trail maps, we can take that one out.
Take it out.
Friends of the Ute Pass Trails contract, we talked about that at the beginning of the meeting, and we definitely are getting more than our money's worth there.
That will be 55, not 45. 45 was the 22. And then it went up, right? Isn't that right?
Yeah, it's based on insurance and
Legal
Well,
fees.
but I mean, it was 55 this year. And so it's going to be, it was 45 the first year, 55 this year, 55 next year.
Yeah, I think we budgeted 45 for this year, and then the ask came in. at
Right.
55.
I thought we were asking for 6,000.
That was a different grant.
All right.
Oh, there's $600 in trail signage and trailhead cleanup.
I know. So do you want to get rid of the 350? This looks a little better.
It does. Let's do that instead.
Okie dokie. But we want to add the 5,000 as the match.
Yes. That's the equipment, the maintenance equipment. I almost just want to take that out and
I think so too.
That's Public Works doing their thing.
Mhm. Does the Public Works Department have an operating, other than the big mower, do they have lawnmowers? They've tried those were not functioning earlier this year. Other than the zero turn radius.
ZTR.
Yeah, the ZTR. Okay. It doesn't use a DeWalt battery, but are there other mowers or equipment? There are plenty of weed eaters.
Yes,
Okay,
I have not seen it run, but the answer is yes,
okay,
because I specifically asked that to them early spring.
yeah,
And there was another mower in there that I thought you would be using with the big bicycle tires on it,
Mhm.
but it didn't belong to the town. That is all.
okay,
Curious.
so,
So let's eliminate that line item. Let's eliminate this line item, but Jay, let's make a point of mentioning in our year-end review.
yeah,
The Public Works didn't have the equipment, even if they had the manpower.
they're gonna need to put some energy into, making sure that the equipment is functional. It was, put together with sticks and sealing wire, duct tape and, quick and dirty action. They should get a reference to make sure that the equipment is maintained.
So I did a quick calculation and the parks went from 4,755 to 4,005.
That's great.
And then we were gonna come back to the health planning and treatment of the signature trees in the maybe bucket.
I almost don't want to put it in here, because I think the town's gonna already bear the responsibility of doing this on a larger scale because of the new nuisance tree ordinance.
That is a consideration, true.
So I think for that reason, I'd like to just leave it out. Does that then reduce our ask?
Well, we don't, that's not part of that 4,000.
Okay, okay,
That's separate. So it doesn't affect that 4,000.
Okay.
I do have some other numbers for you. You know, you had 207 hours for the designated employee, which would have been the seasonal worker,
mhm,
and 118 hours of public works. And that would have been a total of 5 to 325 hours. We had 476 in-kind hours of people working on the parks.
You should probably bump that up by about 60 hours for me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I have all your hours. I thought I got all your hours. If not, then you need to give
Probably
me your
not.
hours.
Okay, yeah, I,
So in other words, the hours that we estimated, we had more in-kind volunteer hours that got the maintenance.
Mhm.
And I'm including like the 4th graders and the 5th grade, because they were maintaining, they were mitigating weeds and doing things. I included Creek Week. I included the community work day. I included any time, this doesn't count your pool hours, but I included anytime you sent me hours, anytime I did any kind of mitigation, when we were raking the mulch, for the playgrounds.
Mhm.
Uh,
So I think the way that we can quantify this, Nancy,
Yes.
is for this budget. Can you look back and see how many hours we had related to the community workday?
I can, but not right now.
Right, no, but,
Okay,
and that's okay, because we still have almost a month to
yes, of course I can.
to finalize this. So we can quantify that there, but then I
Uh-huh.
think in the year-end report is when we really, no, I
Yes.
want to do it here too. I want to give a summary of what actually happened here before I make the ask.
That's what I think needs to happen too, because it needs to be shown that many hours were put in, volunteer hours were put into the parks. How many designated employee hours were there? 0. We're not sure about Public Works because they don't divide it out that way. But it needs to be shown that there was a false stimulus. Because if you put all of our hours together, it's like 1,500 hours. That's including the pool hours. And I don't have the front desk volunteer hours either. So that's even more hours on top of that. We had a lot of volunteerism going this summer.
Yeah. Yep.
And that needs to be put into numbers and quantified for the board and town staff.
Nancy, does the Friends of the Ute Pass also track their hours spent?
Yes,
And
Yes.
I'd like to report on the number of hours worked for that $5,500 contract.
sure.
Because I think that number, I think the cost per hour will be staggering.
Yes, I can get those hours for it. And that would be hours that, is that just hours worked on the trails, or would that be other hours like preparing for those trail work days?
I think it's all of them.
Okay,
It is. Administration is just as important as execution of it. So there was, they go out and do recon, they do TA, they write tool lists, they pre-deliver them. Yeah, go Friends.
Mhm. Yeah, there was a lot of energy spent and without that, you don't get things done. You wind up spinning your wheels.
yeah,
But that's as much a piece of work as the public works people organizing their projects for the day and repairing equipment and setting things up.
Yeah.
Those are both essential actions.
well, and those volunteer hours are going towards an asset that is important to this town, that brings in hikers that visit our town and possibly spend some money, so that it's all a big circle, but it's an important circle.
It also shows that that two of the most successful groups who are running right now spend a lot of time on administration.
True. Yeah, I can get those hours for you. I can break that out.
Okay. I think with this, guys, I'm gonna have a pretty easy time putting together my presentation. I will email it out to everyone prior to then for final thoughts and revisions. Will we meet again between now and then?
Oops, sorry. I just fell down. I don't think so. That is the 14th. Well, we could meet the 8th, November 8th, and the 14th is when the presentation is, the board consideration to the PRT consideration to the board.
Yeah, I'll have to do it over Zoom because I'll be in Oklahoma, but I'm happy to Zoom again that day.
Again?
Mhm.
Did you get my permission for that?
Didn't, but I have a major project happening that week and they need my watchful eye.
Okie dokie.
The 14th is the trustees meeting because the normal meeting is the first Tuesday of the month.
That's, I think it's election day. I
Yeah,
don't know.
it is.
I don't know if that affected having it. I don't know.
Okay, I looked through it didn't show the previous meeting's agenda didn't show the plan for the next meeting.
Yeah, and I think it might be a workshop and not a regular meeting too.
Okay,
But yeah, we could meet November 8th and go over the presentation.
Perfect. I'll do it and then y'all can beat me up.
Yay.
Looking forward to it.
I can take
It'll
it.
be a roast.
I'll be ready.
I think we're done.
I think we are done.
I mean,
Could I talk a little bit about the holiday event? before we-
you have 2 minutes. No, I'm joking.
So, so a partnership between Greenbox, Church in the Wildwood, and
Chamber.
Chamber, is putting together the tree lighting event for December the 2nd. I assume that PRT would like to be part of that too. Plans that have been discussed and not finalized yet are a craft and vendor fair at Joyland, a food truck at Joyland, Cocoa Fellowship and caroling at Church in the Wildwood, caroling at Sky Space, the hiding of a Yule log on Red Butte Mountain or Red Butte, a fire pit with Coco and Santa Claus at Greenbox after the tree lighting concludes, and we're looking into like a make and take tree ornament craft for kids.
Oh, nice.
mhm.
Just for kids?
Well, maybe adults too.
The-
Sad day.
I mean, kids is just a word.
Okay, families.
We're all kids.
Uh,
No-
No,
and
no
I-
age limitation.
And I know someone who did Santa last year.
Well, we're sort of counting on him.
Okay,
We're counting on him, but I think Reverend Darlene is happy to have him other places than the church.
oh, oh,
I did not know that you're not supposed to have Santa Claus in the church, but
but he's Saint Nicholas.
Says who?
Okay,
yeah, Don, don't get me fired.
Hmm.
this is recorded.
Oh, yeah,
Oh, yeah.
thank you.
Oh,
We
oh.
always tend to forget that.
Well, I don't.
It isn't a problem if it's recorded. It's only a problem if somebody listens to it.
We do have pretty good meetings.
We do. We have very productive meetings.
Okay, well, I wanted to give y'all a report on that and email me if you have anywhere within that you want to support, or if you have another idea to add. Oh, and the chamber was also looking at a hayride that would go from Joyland to the East Red Butte Trailhead and back and forth. So email me if you want to participate in any of that, or if you've got other ideas.
All righty,
Else before I
like fun.
adjourn?
Sounds like fun.
we're adjourned.
You're adjourned at 5:01 p.m.
Good job.
I
All
like
right.
these 3 o'clock meetings.
You are host. You get to turn it off.
Okay,
Thank
bye.
you, Jessica.
Give that baby a kiss.
I will.